served on the technical committee that outlined the recommendations for the St. Louis City to follow in achieving its 100% clean energy goal. Catherine touched a little on what we've done there. At Great Rivers Environmental Law Center, I work more at the state and the utility level, mostly at the Public Service Commission, to move our electric utilities towards adding more renewable energy, retiring their old coal plants, and offering more energy efficiency programs to help their customers save energy. Little known fact that deserves to be better known: Missouri burns more coal for electricity than any other state except Texas. That bad. And the worst offender is our local utility, Ameren. At a time when coal has declined to the point where the average utility in the country only gets about 30% of its electricity from burning coal, Ameren gets 75% from burning coal. And that puts a limit on what St. Louis can do. Take Columbia, Missouri, a city that's doing some good things about climate. They have their own utility, Columbia Water and Light. They control their own destiny to a greater extent than St. Louis, which is an Ameren customer. Now, there are political obstacles to tackling climate change at every level, as we know. At the national level, the administration thinks it would be a good idea if we got worse gas mileage. The state level, things aren't much better. Renewable energy really can be a bipartisan issue. Even people on the right side of the spectrum can get behind it because it's the success we're having with renewable electricity now is not due, unfortunately, to people like me. It's due to simple economics. Wind is now the cheapest form of electricity there is, and solar is not far behind. So, those on the political right, and they think they don't like the Green New Deal, that's socialism, but they can maybe embrace a carbon tax, which is more of a free market incentive. And they can see property rights and individual rights, the right of an individual to put solar panels on their house and generate their own electricity. So, there is room to cross the aisle on these issues. On the other hand, in our legislature, we now have the unending saga of the Grain Belt Express transmission line. If you've never heard of that, we fought for 5 years to get the PSC to approve the Grain Belt Express, which is a wind-only transmission line, a private transmission line that would take wind energy from Kansas to markets in the east, but also dropping off wind energy here in Missouri. And a lot of municipal utilities in Missouri are signed up to get that because it's so cheap. And so we finally got it approved. Now there's a bill in the legislature to stop it by denying it the power of eminent domain, which would mean that one landowner could stop this entire project. And the very persistent opposition to this has come from the handful of landowners along the route who are afraid that it's going to spoil their views and ruin their property values. So this bill, House Bill 2033, has already been passed by the House. We need to stop it in the Senate. So please call your senators and tell them to vote no on HB 2033. So how did St. Louis City get its wind energy, or will get its wind energy? Catherine touched on that. In the Board of Aldermen in 2017 passed this ordinance, a resolution rather, pledging to get 100% clean energy electricity by the year 2035. And clean energy is defined as solar, wind, and energy efficiency. Now, the technical committee that I was on calculated that we could reach 10% of that goal through efficiency for city government operations only now. 10% by energy efficiency in city buildings, 10% solar on rooftops of city buildings. But we need to get 80% of that goal with wind energy. And I like to badmouth Ameren, but they are starting to do some good things. And one of those things they're doing is called a green tariff. They call their program Renewable Choice. What that is designed to do is to provide renewable energy for corporations that have their own renewable energy goals. big major companies now are pledging to get 100% of their energy, of their electricity from renewables. And fortunately, Ameren saw fit to make it possible for municipalities to apply for clean energy under this program. And so we are waiting. Unfortunately, we still don't know exactly when or where this wind energy is going to come from, but the city has signed up to get it. But that's only city government operations, and the clean energy resolution covers the entire community, all the businesses and residences in the city. We want them to get to 100% clean energy. And of course, the city can't really make anybody do anything. They can influence, they can encourage, they can enact incentives, they can set in place the necessary policies. And one thing they've already done is to pass a solar ready ordinance, which means that the building code for new construction will now require that any new building that has a roof that's suitable for solar, that the right orientation to the sun, will have to be built so that it's able of holding solar panels. But ultimately, when you get down to community level, which is the vast majority of the city's energy use and greenhouse gas emissions, as Catherine said, it's going to be on the citizens themselves. And that's true of the cities in St. Louis County that have signed similar pledges. And this is the biggest political obstacle that I see to tackling climate change is complacency. There is not a critical mass of people in this country or in this state yet that take the climate crisis seriously enough, that make it, they've all got higher priorities. They're out there buying SUVs. And so the political challenge comes down to, in my opinion, grassroots politicking. The communicating and persuading and organizing people. Frederick Douglass said, "Power yields nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will." And we aren't yet demanding loudly enough.